Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Cannot believe it's Monday, the 13th of March. How did that happen? Coming up later in the program, we've got a guest going to be visiting about how to find your ruby red slippers. I believe that's a book from Lisa Ferentz. Find Your Ruby Slippers. That's the name of the book. There we go. So we're going to be chatting about that. A 440-pound man in Germany was in a car accident where he was run over by a Volkswagen and said a Volkswagen rolled over him in traffic and he only suffered minor injuries. He was a big guy.
Holy cow.
He had enough padding that he's like, just dust it off. I'm fine. Did you see that? He just got run over and he got up and walked away. Expectant mothers who exercise generally have smarter babies than those expectant mothers who don't exercise.
Really?
So if you're smarty pants, maybe it's because your mom was an exerciser. And if your mom wasn't an exerciser, you probably have a job in radio like me. Sorry. Coming up, we got some special things going on today. We'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. You know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you never asked. It's Monday, March the 13th. It's Donald Duck Day. I like Donald Duck. It's also Earmuffs Day. It is Fill Our Staplers Day. It is Good Samaritan Involvement Day. It is IUGR Day, which stands for Intrauterine Growth Awareness Restriction Day.
Of course it does. That's what I thought.
That's what I was going to guess, too. It's Canine Veterans Day today, so for all of you police officer dogs and dogs that serve in the military, today is their day. So
That's
Canine
awesome.
Veterans Day. It is Ken Doll Day, because without Ken dolls, all Barbies would be marrying other girls. So Ken dolls, welcome. L. Ron Hubbard Day, Napping Day, National Open an Umbrella Indoors Day, and Heidi Small Day. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not Heidi Small Day. It's Smart and Sexy Day.
I see what you did there.
I thought that was your day, Heidi, because you're smart and sexy. See, that's what I'm saying there. So it was either that or I would have to go get an umbrella and open it indoors. And I don't know where I'd find an umbrella. So I'm going to celebrate Heidi Small Day instead.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi. Join us for 80s in the Sand, a week-long 80s event this November 11th through the 18th in beautiful Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
Meet and listen to 80s bands like Loverboy, Starship, Howard Jones, and many more.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. From a farm in Ohio comes a lesson from 52-year-old Frank Burrell. How not to break up a fight between your kids. You ready for this lesson?
Yeah.
Frank's two grown sons, by the way, they're aged 25 and 27, so you'd think they'd be old enough to know better. They were in a fight in the front yard. One chased the other with a pitchfork.
Whoa!
Then the other brother punched him, causing him to drop said pitchfork. Then they both fell to the ground and started pummeling each other. That's when Frank decided to intervene. He came over and struck one of his sons in the head with a shovel. Well, that stopped the fight.
I'm sure it did.
That's when the ambulance arrived. They found an older son sitting in the front yard with blood pouring from his head.
Oh, my gosh.
He was flown by helicopter to the hospital where he was treated and released. Dad was arrested. When they asked what they were fighting about, none of the three men had any idea.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, why were you guys even fighting? They're like, I don't know. Because he was bored? I don't know. Did you ever get in a fight with anybody in your family? Like a real knockdown, drag out, it's clawing each other's eyes out kind of fight?
No, never. I think that's more of a manly thing.
When I was a kid, my brother Joe, who's a year younger than me, he and I got in numerous fights. I was always bigger than Joe, and I would, we would get in fights. He was a wiry little dude, but I would have to pin him to the ground, and he'd be wiggling around trying to get up, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to let you up, but we're done fighting now, right? He's like, nope. It's like, I'm going to let you up, but we're done fighting. Then I'd let him up, and he'd want to keep fighting, and I'd have to pin him back to the ground. Over and over and over, he would not give up.
I bet he could kick your butt now, though.
I'm sure he could. Probably. I mean, His son could kick my butt now. Heck, his daughter, who's only 4, could probably kick my butt now. So, anyway, I love you, Joe. We never had pitchforks and shovels involved in our fights, though. So I'm gonna leave that to the pros there in Ohio. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. This little story here, you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Drugs don't go with much, pretty much anything. Drugs don't go with anything. To have drugs plus anything equals good never happens.
Right.
I don't think I made that very clear. But grenades probably would never make the list. So, wow. A German man bought 3 hand
The funniest
grenades.
thing is you speak for a living.
I do this.
You are a professional.
You paid to talk. A German man bought 3 hand grenades from a flea market in Bosnia, took them home to Frankfurt, Germany, kept them in a drawer for 10 years. After drinking with friends and having some, let's just say party favors, they decided to, hey, let's show these grenades around, and everybody was checking them out. One guy said, they're not even real. So he pulled the pin and threw it out the window. It exploded between the 2 buildings. Luckily, did not injure anyone. Police were called to the scene. They seized the other 2 grenades, and they arrested everyone. So
Wow.
they were real. Yeah, you don't want to mess with grenades. Like I said, drugs plus anything is usually not good, but anything plus grenades is usually not good either. So that was just a recipe for disaster. That could have been our moment of duh, but it wasn't. We've got the moment of duh on the way.
John and Heidi.
Oh, Heidi, this is one of my favorite moments of duh today.
Okay.
So this happened in Canada. And I like the fact that it's in Canada because that means it's not just America, not just the United States that have the idiots. Mary Simpson's boyfriend was locked up in jail. So after days of thought and planning, Mary hatched a plan to free him from incarceration. Guess what her plan was?
What's that?
She thought, I'm going to show up at the jail pretending to be a police officer with instructions to escort this prisoner to another facility. Well, do you think that worked out? First suspicions were aroused when she arrived by herself to transfer the prisoner. They would never do that with just one person.
Right.
Second, perhaps most importantly, she forgot that when impersonating a police officer, it would be a good idea to wear, I don't know, a police officer uniform. She showed up in jeans and a T-shirt. After very little time and they realized what was going on, they played along a little bit, but they walked her into a room where she was questioned and arrested for impersonating an officer, although not a very good job of impersonating the officer. All right, coming up, we have your scoop of the day.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. A man in China smashed up a couple of ATMs while he was drunk. Guess why?
Why?
He told police he was angry because they displayed the time on the screen, but it didn't match the one on his phone. So he was upset. Did I mention that he was drunk? Okay. That makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? Electric and hybrid vehicles can be eerily quiet at low speeds. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration believes that's a safety problem. Starting in 2019, the same group, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, was going to require all new electric hybrid light-duty vehicles to make noise at speeds below 19 miles an hour to alert pedestrians that they're here. I wonder what those noises will be. I would like to be on the panel of people who get to decide that.
I would love to help
make it
decide
sound
what
like
noises.
a squeaky toy. I don't know. Hopefully, it just sounds like a motor. But we could make it fun. Your underwear is dirty. Even the undergarments that just came out of the dryer, smelling as sweet as morning spring, well, they're dirty as well. Why? 25% of the home washing machines are contaminated with fecal bacteria. Why are we talking about this?
Lovely.
Dr. Charles Gerba of the University of Disgustingness, the University of Arizona in Tucson, says, while it's never been proven that bacteria on clothing spreads illness, Gerba says that each pair of dirty underwear contains about 1/10 of a gram of bacteria-carrying feces. I'm sorry for those of you that are trying to eat, which is about the same as a quarter of a peanut, is what they're saying. Detergent and warm water will remove 99% of those nasty organisms, but not all of them. Why? Most of us do not use hot enough water to wash our clothes, and even fewer use bleach. From now on, Heidi, hot water with bleach. I don't care if all my clothes come out spotty. At least they'll be clean.
What difference does it make? It's not like you're going to put your underpants in your mouth.
Oh, how many times have you seen me do that, though? Oh, no, it's my foot that goes there. That's what it is. Hey, if you want to avoid getting a cold, go get a tattoo. Yeah. Those who have more than one tattoo have a stronger immune system than those who've never been inked, which makes them better able to fight infections. But there is one catch, Heidi. Receiving just one tattoo has the opposite effect, lowering your resistance to germs. According to a trio of researchers from the University of Alabama, it all began when Dr. Christopher Lynn, an associate professor of anthropology, received a tattoo and realized he was physically drained from the process. They don't just hurt you while you get a tattoo, but they can exhaust you, he said. What kind of a tattoo did he get? Did he have to do a lot of work?
I've never been exhausted after
he
a
says
tattoo.
It's easier to get sick. You could catch cold because of your defenses and they being lowered and your stress of getting a tattoo. Wimp. The body response from tattooing is akin to that experience from exercising in the gym when you're out of shape. Initially, muscles become sore, but if you continue, the soreness fades and the muscles become stronger following subsequent workouts. After the stress response, your body returns to an equilibrium, Lynn said. However, if you continue to stress your body over and over again, instead of returning to the same set point, it adjusts your internal set points and moves higher, making you more resistant. So, translation, repeated tattooing makes your immune system stronger. So in that case, my wife Heidi will never get sick, ever. She's like the tattooed woman. So people who've never met you are probably seeing a completely different picture of you in their mind right now.
Probably.
It's all very tasteful, and you can't see them. I know the way that she talks on here, you'd think that it'd be filth, but it's good stuff. Hey, it turns out Winston Churchill and Fox Mulder could have been BFFs. Just weeks before Britain entered World War II, the former prime minister penned an essay in 1939 titled, "Are We Alone in the Universe?" It was only recently discovered, and Churchill's conclusion, "We're probably not alone." He wrote, "I, for one, am not so immensely impressed by the success we are making of our civilization here that I am prepared to think we are the only spot in the immense universe which contains living, thinking creatures," end quote. That might be the most intelligent thing I've ever said on the radio. I was quoting Winston Churchill. There you go. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Radio advertising works. When it's done right, it works even better. There are many things you can do to get a better response, and shouting sale really isn't the best thing, believe it or not. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? If you're trying to get people to remember your company, consider a jingle. We work with one of the very best jingle companies in the business, and we'd love to use music to help you grow your company. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us. We have Lisa Ferentz, and she's a clinical social worker and a psychotherapist. She's also been working in a private practice for over 30 years, and she's got a book that we're going to be chatting about. First of all, let's say hello to Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
I think it's cool that you're a psychotherapist. We've never had a psychotherapist on the program. We've had a lot of psychos, and we've had a couple of therapists, but never a psychotherapist.
I may be one of the saner therapists.
There you go. So now, how long did you want to be in this line of work? Is this something that's kind of a special thing that you do where you're helping people? Is this something that, like, when you were a little kid, you said, I want to do this? Or how did you become a psychotherapist?
Yes, actually, my mom always tells the story that when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I used to sit on the front step of the house, and kids in the neighborhood would gather and sit next to me and spontaneously start telling me their problems.
Really?
And I would be fascinated, and I would give them, simple little suggestions. And yeah, so I think it's just been a part of me since I was little. I'm also the oldest of 4 kids, and so I think that when you have that sort of role in the family, you get these skills about being a good listener and being a good mediator and, helping people resolve things. So it's something I'm passionate about, and I always consider it a privilege, actually, to be able to accompany people on their healing journey.
That is really cool. So that's kind of like the cartoon, The Peanuts. Wasn't there a young lady on there?
Yeah,
that
that's Lucy.
I was going to say,
That's
I was
right.
thinking. So I'm like talking to the real life Lucy right now.
That's right.
Now, let's talk about your book, Finding Your Ruby Slippers, Transformative Life Lessons from the Therapist's Couch. First of all, why did you title it that? What is the significance behind that particular title?
So, it's a direct reference to The Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy and all of the characters spend the whole movie thinking that the wizard has the answer. The wizard is what's going to make them whole. And so when they get to the Emerald City, of course, they realize that the wizard is just a small man behind a curtain with no power at all. But when Glinda comes down at the end of the movie, she's able to say to Dorothy, basically, look at your own feet. You've been wearing the ruby slippers all along. And I love that metaphor because it really speaks to the theme of the book, which is helping people to really access their own inner wisdom rather than thinking that other people in their lives have the answers. It's a book of empowerment. It's helping people to really turn inward and begin to access that wisdom so that they can make decisions that are truly in their best interest.
Well, thank you for putting the book together. And I know this is not your first book, but how long did it take to put this one together?
So, right, this is my third book. And, I don't write nonstop. So I kind of write, in different spurts. So altogether, it's about a 2-year process.
Wow.
From the first Post-it note to, getting a copy from my publisher, it's about a 2-year process.
Again, visiting right now with Lisa Ferentz, the author of a new book called Finding Your Ruby Slippers, Transformative Life Lessons from the Therapist's Couch. So if there was one little bit of advice that we could give today to people that are listening, and maybe, because everybody's going through different things, but if there's one little bit of advice that would kind of be maybe as close to a catch-all as possible, what kind of advice would you give?
I think, John, one of the most important things is to be very aware of how you talk to yourself about yourself. So much of the book is rooted in this notion of self-compassion. I think that the way we talk to ourselves really informs all of our emotions and our subsequent thinking and even our behavioral choices. And people don't realize how much of the time they talk to themselves in ways that are judgmental and very critical and even cruel. And so there's, in addition to all of the different chapters in the book that are kind of words of wisdom and words of encouragement, intentionally I created all these journaling prompts because I want people to be able to turn inward and really start to notice, how do I talk to myself about either things that have happened in the past or choices that I've made or the extent to which I believe that I have the ability to meet a new goal head on, the extent to which I'm willing to allow myself to take a healthy risk in my life. So encouraging your listening audience to really focus on the awareness about self-compassion versus self-criticism, I think that's a thread that is kind of woven into everything else that we do.
I'm reading on here, it talks about making decisions from what is rather than what was or what could be. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure, yes. So whether it comes to making a decision about whether or not to stay in a particular relationship or whether or not you want to stay in your current workplace environment, many people either think about how great it used to be, and that kind of keeps them hanging in there, or they hold on to this idea that, well, even though I'm not happy right now, I know there's a lot of potential. So my recommendation is that rather than kind of getting stuck in the past or thinking about how great you think it could be, to really find the courage to assess in a very accurate way, how is it for you right now? Because that's what's most impactful in your life. So if you're in a relationship that used to be great, but now isn't, and you don't feel fulfilled, and you're not being treated with respect, that's what you need to kind of make your decision from in terms of whether or not you stay in that relationship. If you're in a workplace environment that used to be okay, but now is very unsupportive or invalidating or even toxic, then again, to find the courage to recognize that in the now, this is not meeting my needs and might even be damaging to my self-esteem or my self-worth.
Where can we find a copy of the book, Finding Your Ruby Red Slippers, Transformative Life Lessons from the Therapist's Couch?
So they can either get all of my books on Amazon, but I'd also like to encourage people to visit my website, which is theferentzinstitute.com. I have lots of free resources there for people in addition to their ability to access the books. And they can get me on Facebook, too, at the Ferentz Institute.
Very nice. Now, what is the Ferentz Institute? I should have asked. I see that it says here you're the founder of the Ferentz Institute. What is that exactly?
So that we're in our 10th year of providing continuing education to mental health professionals. And we offer all kinds of trainings related to trauma and other issues that patients and clients struggle with. So it's my contribution in terms of helping mental health professionals to do best practices and state-of-the-art care for their clients. And that's in Baltimore.
Well, that's really cool. Well, thank you very much for doing that. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you, John. All the best.
And again, our guest today, Lisa Ferentz. She is the author of a book. It's a new book that just came out called Finding Your Ruby Slippers, Transformative Life Lessons from the Therapist's Couch. It's available right now. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstein saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it, too. Learn how you can use his system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Watch a few videos there for free. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code Radio20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The more a person struggles to get out of the quicksand, the faster they will sink. Did you know that? So if you
I
ever,
did.
if
I've
you ever-
actually.
If you ever get in
I've heard
quicksand,
that.
stay still. And
I
you'll
learned that on cartoons when
Did
I was
you
a
really?
kid.
Fun. Well, there you go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The most popular grown bulbs are tulips. There you go.
Okay.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The most popular name for the pet, for any pet in the United States is
Muffy.
no, Max.
What?
Muffy is number 2.
I have never seen.
You've never seen a dog named Max? I had a dog
No.
named Max. I had one. So, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The official state tree of Illinois is the white oak.
Ah.
It's kind of fun to know. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There's a reason why bubbles are round. Do you know why?
Why?
It is the most efficient shape that soap film can take for an amount of air trapped inside of it.
Okay.
So it would have to have, a reason for something to poke out. That sphere is like the perfect shape. It's the most
Okay.
efficient shape. So there you go. Couple of fun facts for you on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
This is Richard Lustig, the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. They do all the work. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, to give yourself the best chance of winning, go to RadioLottoPool.com and join today. Again, that website is RadioLottoPool.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. Is your marriage on the way down, or is it on the way up, or is it just right? What would you say, Heidi?
I think it's probably just right.
Just right? I think so too. 5 connections a day could lift you right back up if you're not doing as well as this beautiful woman and I are doing right here. Honestly, I do think we have a pretty good marriage. I'm not going to say that
absolutely.
we're perfect, but I will say that we're perfect for each other.
Yeah.
I mean, we both have a lot of flaws. But I mean, we have a lot of flaws. But when, your flaws and my flaws get together, it's like, hey, this is pretty good. It's good stuff. So here, this from Women's Day magazine. The quickest way to turn around a downward cycle in a marriage is with at least 5 positive connections a day. This from Carol Lindquist, PhD. To give your marriage a quick lift, try this. Every day, for 3 days, say something positive to your spouse. Recognize something he's contributed to the household or relationship. Touch him affectionately. Or notice something nice that he's wearing. Don't tell him you're going to start being positive. Just do it. Just start. If you're not used to expressing these kindnesses, the first few may be hard to choke out, but it gets easier. The change, Dr. Lindquist promises, will be remarkable, and you're going to want to keep doing it. So
That's sad. It shouldn't be hard to say
No.
something nice to the person that you're
absolutely
married
not. I think it would be really easy to say something nice. So, I don't know.
That's sad.
You look mighty fine on this Monday. I'm going to reach over now and touch you. Is that what I'm supposed to do? I'm going to touch you affectionately. Where do you want me to touch you affectionately? Where don't you want me to touch you affectionately? In this studio? Is that what you're going to say? All right. Anyway, that's from Women's Day magazine. I noticed in there, by the way, it was speaking to her. Every one of
Because
those said his.
A woman would be the one reading
Okay,
Woman's
but
Day.
I just want to
That's
say,
why.
guys, you can do this stuff too. I mean, I think guys have more struggles saying nice things than women do. I don't know. Maybe not.
Not
but
in our house.
No, because I'm not a big macho jerk. I see a lot of macho jerks that do that. I'm like, get over yourself. Just give her a hug. I mean, that's not that hard. So anyway, we'll move on before I have a stroke here. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi inviting you to join us for a party in paradise.
This is a week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
And 80s movie and TV icons like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
We'll even get together to have some drinks with you.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
That's 80sinthesand.com.
A woman's neighbors complained that she had too many animals in her home, including a disgusting potbelly pig. The law said you can only keep one pet. Guess which one she kept?
The pig?
Yeah. A woman in Florida had to give up 5 of her pets because, by law, she can only have one. Along with some cats and some dogs, she had 2 potbelly pigs, and that's what her neighbors couldn't stand, were the pigs. That's why they called the police. And that's why Elaine Sherman says, well, thank you for reporting me. I'm keeping the pigs. She got rid of 5 things, and she kept, one of the potbelly pigs. She says, I was afraid my neighbors might try to poison them. It's just crazy out here right now. Her neighbors protested about a machine she installed to repel insects. They were attracted to the pigs. The insects were coming because of the pigs. So that she put up like a bug zapper. She said, I cried all day yesterday. These pigs are my pets. That's really sad.
I wonder why you're only allowed to have one pet. That seems a bit extreme.
Yeah, but
I know we have 2 dogs.
We do. Shh. Hey, we only have one.
I mean, I could see if you've
about?
got like 30 cats or something where they would be like, come on.
Hey, what's wrong with 30? I could understand 31, but what's wrong with 30 cats, Heidi?
I mean, 1 or 2 pets I think is probably plenty.
Okay. Coming up, we've got more stuff. And for those of you who have 30 cats, I apologize. I never thought of this before, but you ever wonder where your doctor goes to see, like, which doctor does your doctor use? You ever think of that kind of thing?
I do think of that.
I never really thought of that. Chances are they don't even visit a doctor, though. A study by Yale University found that 1/3 of all American doctors do not have a regular doctor. This is far worse than the population in general, despite doctors generally having access to better than average health care. Results varied by specialty, with pediatricians being more likely to have a regular doctor. Internists, pathologists, and surgeons were the least likely to have a doctor. So I think next time I talk to our doctor, I'm going to say, hey, who's your doctor?
Well,
I wonder
why would they need a doctor? I mean,
work on themselves. I don't know.
I mean, they can prescribe their own stuff.
You can give myself a
They know
physical.
what the symptoms are, so I don't know why they would need a doctor.
True. I don't know. I don't know. I just think they do. I'm not sure. I don't know how it works. Coming up, we're going to talk about bad driving, and it's all your fault. Yeah, it's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstein saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20%.
Heidi, would you say that our kids are good drivers or bad drivers?
I would say one child is a very good driver and the other child is not a very good driver.
Okay, so the child that has my DNA, is she a good driver or a bad driver?
She is a good driver.
And our son who has your... I
would like to point out they both have my DNA.
Okay, they both do, but I'm just saying, you always say what a terrible driver I am. I love my son. I've never called him a stepson. He's my son. But we don't share DNA, and I need to point that out for the story. It says, bad driving, it's in your DNA.
It's not in your DNA. I think it's how you're taught.
Might as well stop cursing at bad drivers weaving in and out of the lanes in front of you. According to new research from the University of California, Irvine, they can't help it. It's in their genes. The study found that people with a particular gene variant performed more than 20% worse on a driving test than people with different DNA sequences. That may explain why there are so many bad drivers out there, because about 30% of Americans have that variant. Dr. Stephen Kramer, who led the study, published in the Journal of Cerebral Cortex. Who sits around reading stuff like that? What are you reading? Cerebral Cortex Journal. I've been bored.
Your doctor's doctor.
Apparently.
That's who reads it.
These people make more errors from the get-go, and they forget more of what they learn time after time. Ironically, the research team had not set out to discover insights into driving, but chose the driving test because it uses common skills. Kramer said he'd love to do new research now to find out how many people involved in car crashes have this gene variant. So there you go. It's in the genes. It's not their fault. Next time you get pulled over, just say, hey, what is this, like a hate crime because of my genes? What is the thing that's online? I'm a independent
I have no clue
person.
what you're talking about.
Oh, these videos where people get pulled over and they try to, I'm a inhabitant.
Oh, a free inhabitant or
don't do that.
Something stupid.
That is such a bad idea. I'm like, just let the officer do his
drive me
job.
Nuts.
Oh, it's crazy. And I watch the videos and I'm like, you're asking for trouble. Why are you doing this? I've been pulled over so many times.
Yes, you have.
I have bad genes. It hasn't been for a long time, though. But when I get pulled over...
What do you mean it hasn't been for a long time?
Oh, it's been a long time.
It was like...
What?
A week? 2 weeks ago?
No, it's been way longer than that.
It was in January.
I don't think so.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, you hand over your stuff to them, and you behave, and you're going to be good. Coming up, we've got some good news, and I have to figure out when I got pulled over last. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
It was on our way to your family Christmas.
Oh, yeah!
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news. Heidi, I got some good news.
Good.
A hearty Vancouver police officer is being hailed as a hero after plunging into a freezing lake to save a dog. Have you seen this?
No.
I saw this online. I've got the video on our Facebook page. It's really pretty cool. The pooch became trapped after he chased a ball onto Lost Lagoon and then plunged through the thin ice. By the time police arrived, the dog was struggling to stay above water. That's when Peter Colnut pulled off his coat and his shoes, and he plunged into the frigid lake in short sleeves. He took a hold of an end of a rescue rope, and with his co-workers holding the other end, he made his way to the dog. Photos posted on Twitter show him grabbing the black, shaggy dog by the scruff and easing him through the blocks to the ice shore. Through the blocks of ice, to the shore. Others show him running in his bare feet in the snow to a squad car. Later, the police department tweeted, "The dog and our officer were both pretty chilly, but thankfully okay." Photos of the latest heroics unleashed a flood of praise for Colnut on Twitter. An officer and a gentleman, tweeted one user. If you'd like to see the officer in action, I've got a link on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Would you do that?
I honestly don't know if I would. I would want to.
I would,
but I don't know if I would jump in. I don't know.
I know I would.
I hate to be cold, so
if it was going to be to save somebody's life, I would do it. I wouldn't jump in just because, hey, let's go jump in. You know, there are people who do that. They're like, that's their thing.
Yeah.
I've done that for like a polar plunge event. I've done that before, but I wouldn't just say, hey, I'm bored, I'm going to go jump in ice cold water. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me. But to save someone's life, or, you know, in that other case, to raise some money, that's a good reason to do it. But this is such a great story. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show, and you can see the images and all the fun stuff. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great Monday. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.